I'm usually very camera shy. I'm very media shy also. But once in a while, these kind of talks help. They take you back to where it all started. Mr. Bachchan. I have saved his number as Mr. Bachchan.
Okay. So when
His
it
name
rings,
flashes,
it's like
it still feels surreal. He's calling me. I want to struggle. I'm getting too comfortable.
it's one step worse than not being recognized.
थोड़ी ना रोज कौन ऐसे लोग आते नहीं मुझे ऐसे हाय हेलो फैन मोमेंट होता नहीं मेरा इतना.
We would say in Bombay, you're a risk taker. And that has kind of
Which
paid
doesn't
off.
mean rickshaw.
I guess it's about reaching that point in your life where you can just have the power to say no, and that's a great feeling, right?
I think that's the best place to be. आरू को स्विगी से खाना है लेकिन मैं तो मीटिंग में रहने वाला हूँ तो ऑर्डर कैसे करूँगा. अम्मू को प्रिंट आउट्स लेने हैं लेकिन जब तक घर पहुँचूँगा दुकान बंद हो जाएगी. अश्विनी भी प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में हो वो भी नहीं कर सकती. चलो बोल देता हूँ कल कर लेंगे. बवाल का सॉन्ग भी शूट करना है. वरुण और जानवी से बात करनी है. सीरियल से भी बात करनी है. एक्सरसाइज शुरू करनी पड़ेगी. पेट काफ़ी निकल गया है. कल से शुरू करते हैं. केट की वेट कर रही है शायद. या आई थिंक शी शुड हैव कम बाय नाउ. चाय नहीं अवॉइड करते हैं. शुगर बोल देता हूँ. ठीक है. There she is. Hey,
Hey, hi.
you're already here.
Yes.
Welcome to Creative Talkative with Earthsky Tiwari.
Yeah, we're creative and talkative. There's no stopping this. There's no topping this. Time to explain what's in our veins, what's in our minds. Take a peek into these lives. Yeah, we're creative and talkative. There's no stopping this. There's no topping this.
Welcome to an absolutely warm and candid chat with one of the country's finest film directors and writers, Nitesh Tiwari, as he talks about his passion for creating groundbreaking cinema, love for miming, and being a hands-on father. While you were taking a walk, कोई idea आया क्या film के लिए?
I wish it was this easy. We usually, the toughest part is getting that germ. It's the toughest part, starting point. And the second toughest part is to be able to create that starting idea into something which you think might have the potential to become something nice. So the starting part is the most difficult one.
Correct, because I can just imagine how many ideas come into the mind. And then how is it that you're able to segregate, saying, okay, fine, first and foremost, these are not working. There is a spark here. What is it like when you look at people? Again, that's another question. Like characters, do you like look at someone and say, okay, this is a character who's interesting, and then file that person away somewhere in your memory?
I have a bank, and and most of the characters which you see in the films which I've been a part of, either while writing or while directing, I have always very consciously chosen characters which I have come across
Of course.
in my life, including the names.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
So, just to give you an example, Sanjay Mishra's character in Bhootnath Returns is called Gabdi.
Yes.
That is one of my father's friend's name. We used to go to his shop to have tea. In Bareli Ki Barfi, Kriti's name is Bitti Mishra.
Bitti, correct.
That is my nani's name.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting, yeah.
So, see, I think I find it very relatable, and my nani was also kind of a rebel, the way Kriti's character is in Bareli Ki Barfi. So, if you give them a name, you associate with a person who you have closely observed.
Correct.
It becomes easy for you to write for that person.
Also, a lot of characteristics, then, if you have known someone with that name,
Yes.
then, get a lot of more ideas for that particular character.
Absolutely.
Am I right?
Chichore was all about everyone who was there in my hostel.
Of course.
Everyone in Chichore is someone is still there.
Still there, huh?
Yes.
right now, the space that you're in, okay, the work that you do is, the brilliant part is that, of course, everything that you have done has won awards, but at the same time, it's so amazing to see that you're doing such great work, even in terms of content. Every story is different. It's just added so much, I think, to the film industry in that sense. Every story has brought this freshness with it. Do you feel like you have a lot many more stories to tell yet? Do you feel like, yeah, I'm in a great space right now? What goes on?
Right now, I am in a place where I am hoping that my next movie, Bawal, will also find the same love and appreciation from the audiences as my previous work has. As creators, we can only hope,
Of course.
and we purely work out of our gut feel. You just fall in love with an idea, you make it work for the audience, and you sincerely keep your fingers crossed
Yeah.
that this will also click.
I think the kind of work that people expect out of you now, I'm sure, even the people who are a part of Bawal, the actors and people who are a part of the team, would be really looking forward, okay, now this time we've got a chance to work with you. So let's hope that, it's going to turn out to be this magical film. I'm sure that happens. Come on.
No, I actually, normally I always feel very grateful when artists and technicians agree to be a part of my film. And if I can get my team in place, which I always want at the beginning of the film, I have this whole great sense of gratitude towards them.
So Bawal is all set for release.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of talk of Ramayan, which is, I think people are really anticipating something really grand, which of course. So why Ramayan?
Ramayan is actually a mammoth effort,
Yes.
which a lot of number of people from around the world are putting their effort in. And together we have taken it as a responsibility. And I also have a sense of responsibility which I feel towards my kids. And it sometimes, they are aware of Ramayan, but I don't think they have seen Ramayan in the form in which they should get to see. Our objective is to take it to not just India level, but share it with the whole world and tell them, this is how magnificent we are.
You studied a very different field, which kind of activated your left brain. And what you do now is a lot to do with the right brain. So do your left and right brain talk to each other in that sense?
I somewhere feel that it's good to have a great mix of left brain and right brain. One allows you to fly, other pulls you back.
Correct.
So I think it's a very controlled flight, and I believe in taking controlled flight. Just to give you an example, when we were writing Chichore, and Chichore was dealing with multiple timelines. There was 1992, there was 2019.
Correct.
And 1992 had to work on its own. 2019 had to work on its own. 1992 along with 2019 had to work on its own.
Yes.
So there was a huge amount of logic and analysis which was involved in writing the screenplay.
Right.
So what we had done was we had written the screen when we wrote one line structure. We wrote it in two different timelines. One was 1992.
Okay.
Then one was 2019.
Got it.
And then we bridged them together in the form where 1992 should have made sense, 2019 should have made sense, 1992 along with 2019 should also have made sense. Now that's where your analytical side comes in. To come up with a story like that, correct, is the creative side.
Yeah.
To put it in place is the analytical side.
So a huge misconception, at least I get to hear it from people who are not from the creative industry. Oh wow, what a glamorous job, and you guys are always like sitting in cafes and thinking up of stuff and all. But in reality, we know that there are bad days and then there are worse days.
Yeah, I think misconception is very much there, and I have also heard it from many people, and I think we are in a very, very tough job. And imagine, nobody, I call our profession, especially direction and filmmaking, very, very cruel job.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a damn that you slogged your butt for 1 year to write it. Nobody gives a damn whether you actually spent 1.5 years prepping for it and took another 1 year to make it. one fine Friday, people will walk into the theater, they will look at it and they'll say either good or bad. And mostly you have to deal with a lot of heartbreaks.
Yeah. Correct. Right. Okay. Now, as a writer, okay, now in advertising, we've always experienced these aha moments, right? You know, we're slogging. Suddenly, one moment you're like, chalo, cracked it. So, when it comes to feature films, okay, what is it that you write first? Do you have these aha moments where you say, okay, this is the idea, and now I'm just going to write a line, and that's what's going to be my concept? Or, do you kind of collectively start building a concept and then it comes into your head? How does it work?
So I think there are various levels of aha moments, is what I would like to call it.
Yeah.
The first aha moment starts with that thought.
Hmm.
You should be happy with that thought. That thought has to give you an aha.
Correct.
Then developing that thought into a storyline
Hmm.
of whatever, 5 pages, 10 pages, 15 pages.
Right.
That storyline has to give you an aha.
Ah.
Okay, now I can see a screenplay in this storyline.
Correct.
Then coming up with the screenplay, you should be very happy with that. Once you are finished writing that screenplay, that should give you an aha. And once the final film is made,
Then it's
that should give you an aha. Anywhere aha is missing,
Yeah, that means
you don't end up with a good product.
correct. Wow, that's a nice.
Too many ahas are required to make a good film.
You worked with people, I mean, right from Mr. Bachchan to Amir Khan and everyone. What is your single line brief if you ever have to give them that, And how do you peel that stardom off them and, get them to just get into that role?
All the names which you have mentioned,
Yeah,
are actually very easygoing people.
correct.
So I have never felt like that I had to try hard to convince them. End of the day, it is your story and your screenplay which does the trick. That is the reason why they agree to do your film.
Growing up, I'm sure you also must have been a Bachchan fan.
Hardcore.
Correct. So I want to know that moment of whether it was a moment or whether again it was a process of transition from being a Mr. Bachchan fan to directing him.
I'll take one step back.
Yeah.
The biggest moment for me was getting to see him first.
Correct.
And I'll tell you, I was such a big fan of Mr. Bachchan that for a brief moment I had stopped watching his movies.
Okay.
Because you see Muqaddar Ka Sikandar, he dies in that. You see Diwar, he dies in that.
I know.
And I could not take that.
Yeah.
So I stopped watching his movies. Then later on I became a little more mature and I started watching his movies again. But I missed a few movies in between which I was petrified of seeing that sight on screen. And my dad pulled my leg when I got a chance to direct him in Bhootnath Returns.
Yeah.
He said कि अब क्या करोगे, इसमें तो already मरे हुए हैं. So he was pulling my leg. Yeah. My first interaction came with him during the KBC campaign.
Okay.
The first KBC campaign
course,
which we did for him in 2010. And that was the first time I got to talk to him. First time I narrated something to him. I can't tell you how excited I was.
उसके बाद नींद नहीं आ रही होगी, खाना
I mean,
वाना नहीं
नींद तो
खाया
बहुत
होगा.
दूर की बात है. I mean, I don't know. You get all, what do you say, woozed up in your head.
Yeah, of course.
It's a very heady feeling.
Right, of course.
You've met Amitabh Bachchan. He's liked what you've written.
Right.
He's going to say the lines which you and your team have written.
I can't even imagine. My God.
What do you say?
Unbelievable. Seriously.
Let me tell you, my mom side, everyone is a huge Bachchan fan. I don't think they have taken as much pride in me clearing IIT JEE as compared to the pride which they have taken in me directing a Bachchan movie, So that says it all. I find it surreal, that I have got to know this man at such proximity, where you can have a general chat with him, where he can pick up a phone and call you because he needs something from you.
Wow.
I'm telling you, it's still surreal for me to see my phone read Mr. Bachchan. I have saved his number as Mr. Bachchan.
Okay. So when
his name
rings,
flashes,
like...
it still feels surreal. He's calling me. It's like that.
So all in all, basically, the transition has still not happened from.
No, I'm still a fanboy.
More of
very much a fanboy. Yeah.
sometimes you think of an idea and you feel that it's not relevant right now. You file it away. So does it happen where you've thought of something and you say, no, this is not the time for it?
There are many instances where I found an idea very exciting, but by the time I ended up writing the screenplay, I did not find it exciting.
Oh, like that. Okay.
Many such examples are there. But it has never happened that I have written something which I am in love with, which I have saved for future. Not yet. Maybe
Because
it will happen. I
again,
don't know.
Dangal came at a time where it almost felt like, that story was waiting to be told, and that was the right time.
I think that Dangal as a story is, I find it timeless.
Yeah, of course.
You can watch it 10 years from now
Yes,
also. You
yes.
could have watched it in 90s also, and you would have still found it relevant. And I personally never thought what would be the right time for Dangal.
So is it true that, again, Amir Khan was almost sleepy when he heard the narration for the first time, and
That was the second time.
that was the second time?
Yeah.
But it's never happened where he's just kind of immediately agreed to be a part of something.
That's what Sid told me, Sid Roy Kapoor.
Yeah.
When we went to narrate him for the first time, he heard the full narration of 3 hours, and he said, I want to do it.
Unbelievable.
But I don't know when I will do it. If you guys are willing to wait, I would want to do it. And we said कि हर दिन थोड़ी ना आमिर खान अपनी फिल्म को हाँ बोलता है, आप wait कर लेंगे, उसमें क्या है? So, and Sid told me later on, this is the first time in my entire career Amir has said yes to a script immediately after hearing it.
When I saw Dangal, okay, and I saw the coach, the guy in Dangal, and he immediately reminded me of you. I've always wanted to ask you this, कि उसका जो look था, did you plan on making him look like you? Because he looks a lot like you.
It was a coincidence.
Really?
Purely coincidence. And I'll tell you one story. So I was sitting in this restaurant, and this lady came to me, and it looked like that she had recognized me, and she just, I said, yes, please. थोड़ी ना रोज को ऐसे लोग आते नहीं मुझे ऐसे हाय हेलो फैन मोमेंट होता नहीं मेरा इतना. So she said, sir, loved your work in Dangal. So I said, thank you so much.
I can just imagine where
Then
this
she
is
said,
going.
but you don't do many movies, So I said, yeah, I take my own sweet time to do movies and all those things. But Dangal was something else. I said, thank you so much. He said, but you always do negative roles or what? And I said, oh, she's thinking me as Girish Kulkarni.
This is, you know what, it's one step worse than not being recognized. Okay, like you said, you don't have too many fan moments because a lot of times people don't know, you because they've not seen you on screen so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can
I'm
walk into.
anyways very shy.
Anyway, you can walk into a cafe and people don't recognize. But I think what is worse is someone recognizes you as somebody else.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. There was some miming contest.
Yeah.
And you took part.
Yeah.
And everyone found that you were amazing at it. So tell me about that.
So what happens in IIT, there's a one deadly process. When the freshies come to the hostels, all the seniors just get around trying to spot talent. कि इस साल कैसा माल आया, I didn't even volunteer. Some freshies were volunteering and going in. I thought, आपने को miming कहाँ आती है? And the dramatic secretary was not very happy with whatever he was seeing. So I said, I can try, I don't know. He said, come, And so I went and I did one small piece which I had seen in HBTI Kanpur.
Acha.
That's also an engineering college. So I had seen some people do something. I said, I saw something, I'll just perform and show it to you.
Yeah.
And then he said, why were you sitting there hiding? You are so good and all that. And then I was sent for that freshie miming competition. I won that, and for 4 years in a row, I won all the senior competitions in miming. That thing remained with me, and I had thought in my head when I passed out, I already had a job.
Yeah.
Very early in my 4th year, I'd got a campus placement.
Acha.
And I was looking forward to joining that software company. And but I had thought in my head that sometime in my life, not immediately, sometime in my life, I would want to give writing a shot.
Is it true that when you applied for a job in advertising, it was a poem that got you the job as a writer?
They didn't choose me on the basis of the copy test. They chose me on the basis of a poem which I had written in IIT.
Unbelievable.
They found it very fascinating, which I had attached along with my resume. कि भाई मैं लिखता भी हूँ.
So when you decided that, okay, now it's time for me to take this plunge and get into writing a feature film or, get into directing, That also must have been a decision that you took, because
Yes.
NCD must be a well settled job in that
Yes,
sense. No?
yes. That
Yeah.
was again another tough call I had to take.
Correct.
Quite a tough one,
Hmm.
because it's not easy to let go of a well-paying job,
Certainly
a
not.
very secure job.
Hmm.
That too when you have kids who are 4 years old.
Hmm.
That too when there is no guarantee that there will be a job coming your way.
Hmm.
Not easy.
Hmm.
Again, I think that matchstick came back.
Of course.
Yeah, and then Dangal happened. So again, I'm
Rest,
no one to
like they
come.
say, the rest is history.
I'm no one to complain. Yeah,
Like we would say in Bombay, you're a risk taker. And that has kind of
Which
paid
doesn't
off.
mean rickshaw.
Like an ad that you probably worked on can be made into a feature film.
Some of the KBC commercials which we did
Yeah.
had some lovely insights.
Yes,
कोई भी
yes.
इंसान छोटा नहीं होता
Yes.
और ज्ञान ही आपको आपका हक दिलाता है.
Hmm.
जवाब देने का वक्त आ गया है. Now, these are all
Yes.
very powerful thoughts,
Of course.
and they are very stretchable and can become interesting feature plots.
Advertising again is a daily rejection job. We are so used to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Every day you sit and you sweat buckets and then you go and then people literally say कि अरे क्या बकवास है चले जाओ. So did that kind of help you in your journey as a writer and director?
Yes,
Yeah.
advertising has helped me a lot.
Hmm.
It has helped me deal with rejections more maturely.
Hmm.
It has helped me understand the human psyche more better.
Hmm.
It has made me a better writer because this is a policy which I follow now. All me and my writers, we don't write for ourselves. We write for our audience.
Yeah.
When I'm directing, I'm not directing to prove a point.
Yeah.
I'm directing to make it more rewarding for my audience.
You watch a lot of directors' commentaries. So you enjoy that. Like, how does that help you? In what sense?
Because I used to love to know more about direction, it became a part of my inner system to want to know what a director thinks. And I bought very expensive DVDs, the DVDs which come with director's commentary, along with director's commentary, where the director explains you every scene. So I just wanted to know.
When you watch a scene, do you deconstruct the whole thing in your mind? Okay, how was this conceived? How do they think about it? How
While
was this
watching a
shot?
movie, you're saying?
Yeah.
No, I watch a movie like a viewer.
Like a viewer.
Yes, the director comes in much later.
So normally घर में क्या होता है, husband wife का वही वाला discussion होता है कि have you paid this bill और ये subscription renew किया कि नहीं. आप लोगों के वहाँ भी वही discussion होता है या it's like this very movie related discussion कि let's just talk about this, let's just have interesting discussions या वही boring discussions.
हमारा conversation बहुत ही normal conversation होता है. बिल के ऊपर लड़ाई नहीं होती. सारे bills मैं pay करता हूँ. It's an understanding thing.
Being a dad, and I know that you're a very hands-on father.
Very.
Okay. How has that, it changes us as people drastically. I can say that even through my experience. But how has that changed you as a creative person?
The kind of stuff which gets thrown at you from a very innocent point of view, makes you look at things in a very pure way also. I think that you say, like, I never looked at this situation with this kind of lens. Now that is what makes you start looking at things very differently. Like I'll tell you, my daughter, when she was very small, she said, will you make a ladder for me long enough so that I can go and touch moon? Stuff like that.
Correct.
She said, I want to sit on the cupboard. I said, why do you want to sit on the cupboard now? She said, no, I want to see how things look from this height. Because I'm very small, so I'm looking at everything up. But if you put me on the cupboard, I'll be able to look at things down.
Yeah.
Now, these are very innocent observations.
I would not like to end actually, but yeah, what I want to ask you really is that, do you ever go into like complete switch off mode, or do you think there's this constant churn? Is there a void after a big project, or do you always keep on churning?
I think, I don't need to try very hard. My kids make me do that every day. So when I'm with them, I have to switch off. I have no option. Whether I want it or I don't want it, whether I'm tired or whether I'm fully energetic, they want a part of me every day without fail, and I don't have a choice. So I'm very happy being in that space. So I don't have to try really hard. But to answer your question, on a very serious note, every time a film is wrapped, there is a void. You miss the buzz of the shoot, you miss the co-workers, you miss everyone. It's very human. I would be lying if I say I don't miss these things. Yeah. Toughest part is when you're asked to write something. And toughest part is when you're asked to write something on the spot. What can I say? I don't like saying it as a director, but I'm loving saying it as someone who's sitting in front of camera. I know how difficult it is. It's a wrap.
Hope you had as much fun listening as we did talking. Do subscribe for updates on our upcoming episode out every Friday. Like, share and follow us on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, as well as creativetalkative.com. That's creative with a K.